Hello and welcome to my C# tutorial. Today we'll be learning how to use C# through the Unity game engine. So first you'd have to go and make sure to get Unity, so just go to their website at unity3d.com, get Unity, and I suggest for this tutorial to go and grab the free version. And after you download it, go ahead and install it. Unity is available for both Windows and Mac, so you'll have no problems using it on either machine if you're a Mac person or a PC person. Then after you sign up with them and you install Unity, you'll have a window like this where you can go and start projects or open projects, or you can even go to their tutorials, which is actually really handy. So for this tutorial, we are going to go and start off with a new project. So I do apologize if some parts are a little bit slow, working with an older machine. So one of the things that many of you may have heard is that C# is a lot like Java. So if you've learned Java, then you'll notice a lot of similarities between C# and Java. And for this project, what we're going to do is we're going to go and select 2D, and then we'll go and call it my C# tutorial project. And we will say create project. Now when the project window opens up, the Unity window, you'll have a slightly different layout than what you'll be seeing on this tutorial, and that's okay. The thing I do suggest though is that you do have these items accessible to you. So once it comes up, I will let you know which items those will be. So you'll want your scene, you'll want your console, your project, your hierarchy, and your inspector windows open. Now you don't necessarily need for this part for this tutorial the scene, but I do suggest that you have it so you get used to the idea of working with it in the future if you decide to use Unity for making actual games and whatnot. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and create a folder which we'll call scripts. So the reason why we're doing this is to go and help us organize our project so that it is easier to maintain down the road as our project grows. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go and make a new script. Now when making this script, it's actually kind of important because if you do not give it the name that you want it to have, then it will initialize itself with the new behavior script name. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it does cause a little bit of extra work, and I will show you here shortly why. So we'll go and call this script learning script. And as you can see, as soon as we made it, we have in our inspector what our script looks like. So these are the things that it comes preloaded into our script file. So if we go ahead and we make another one and we just let it go to its default, as you can see, it does have all the same things, but one of the things that will happen is if we decided later that we wanted to rename it. So we'll go and say learning script 2. So as you can see, there is nothing that is changed right over here. It is still the same stuff. Now this will cause problems, and I will go and actually demonstrate this shortly when we actually run our scripts. So for us to run our scripts, we first need to go ahead and create a game object. So we'll go and create a empty thing, and what we'll do is we'll take our first script and we'll add it to here. So right now our game object doesn't really have anything, it just has really basic stuff. And what we're going to do next is we're going to add some code to our script so that our game object can do something. So we'll double click our first script, and what it'll do is it will open up a window, mono develop, to go and edit your script file. So as you can see, has a lot of similar looks to Java as far as the naming and the way that it's written. So this part right here, the using, that is basically your imports. So like in Java, we might have import java.util. So in C# we have these using and then the namespaces, so that this way we have access to those libraries. Now, as you can see, we have start and update methods, and these are important because they actually are tied to our play button right here when we actually run our game. But there's also one more that is not shown here, and that method is called awake. So what this method does is that it initializes anything before the program actually starts. So method initializes objects before the program starts, and we write it as void awake and then we will go ahead and add some code into here. So for us to go and make anything happen, we're going to go and utilize our console for the moment, and we will go and say debug.log this is starting before our program starts. So what this is going to do is it's going to print out this string that we just wrote before the program starts. And we can go and add a couple more things. So we'll go and add one for start. Debug log I am the starting point. Now, when initializing variables, you can go and do it like this: public int whole number equals 9, and we can go and actually call that right here by saying debug dot log and whole number. So we'll go ahead and first make sure we save our file, and then we'll go ahead and run our program. So as you can see, our scene added the game window. So this is what our game currently looks like based on our scene. And in our console, we have our debug logs being put in by what we just wrote. So we have this is the starting before our program starts string, and this is the starting point, and we have our variable being called. Now the other thing you may have noticed is that we also see our variable right here, and this is where we can actually go and manually edit temporarily that variable. And this is actually really handy when you're trying to make a quick fix to see if you need to tweak your numbers or whatnot. So like if you were to go and make your character jump or something, then you could go and quickly edit that number through here to go and change how high your character is jumping. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to stop that, and what we're going to do is we're going to remove this script. So we're going to remove that component, and then we're going to go ahead and open this one, and we'll go ahead and do the same thing, or at least similar to what we did in the other one. So debug. So this is what I'm going to show why it's important that we initialize our name when we're making the file, because this will cause an error. And we'll go ahead and save that. Then we'll go back to our Unity window, and we will go to our game object. And then we'll go and drag and drop our script into our object. So right there we go and we find out, oh, it can't find it because it doesn't exist. And the reason why it doesn't exist is because of the whole class name not matching. So this is why we have to go and make sure that they're matching. So for this, I would need to actually go here and change it to the learning script 2. And then we'll go ahead and we'll comment this line out. Go and copy this is working. And we'll go ahead and save that. And now when we run our project, oh yes, so obviously, as you can tell, the reason why it's not doing anything is because we didn't add our components. So one thing now is we should be able to add it. So as you can see, we were able to add that, and now when we run it, it goes and shows our new log. Now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to stop that. I'm going to delete by removing the component. And we'll go ahead and delete this because we don't need it. Say yeah, and go back to our object, and we'll drag our learning script into there. Okay. Machine's a little bit slow. So as you can see, you can actually just drag and drop a lot of different things and whatnot. So I could actually drag this out of the file and make it not part of that file anymore. But we'll make sure that it's in there, and then we're going to go ahead and drag it into our thing, to our object. And then we'll be going back to our code. We'll close this window out, and we'll go over here and we'll go and create our first function, our first method. So we're going to go ahead and say void adding numbers. And we'll go ahead and say debug.log, and we will go and say whole number plus 1. And what we will do is we will add a conditional. And then we will go and do the get key down. And what we'll do from there is we'll add a key code. So what this conditional is doing is it's taking our input, which is a key down, and we are going to give it a code to go and say return and we will go and say adding numbers. So now what this is going to do is every time we hit the enter key or the return key on our keyboard, it is going to call our method adding numbers and put that inside of our console. So we'll go ahead and save that and go ahead and run it. So right now, as you can see, we have our part that is starting before our program starts, so the awake method. Then we have our starting method that is showing both our starting point and our variable. And now when we go and we press our enter key, you can see that it prints out our addition. Now one of the things that you can do, as I mentioned before, is actually edit your number, and we'll go and say, let's go and say 74, and we'll go and say okay, go back to our game, and as you can see, now it adds 1 to 74 because we went and changed it in our inspector. Now that doesn't change the actual code as mentioned before, but you can see how handy that is when you need to go and make some quick edits on the fly for testing purposes, and then stopping your program and going back into your code to go and make whatever necessary edits that you need to make. So there's obviously a lot more that goes with learning a language, but for the intent of this tutorial, I just wanted to show you how easy it is to go and work with Unity and C# to go and create your own programs. And one of the reasons why I also decided to go with the Unity game engine was just the sheer fact that you can, not only does it work for your PC, Mac, or Linux operating systems, but you can program it for Android or iOS or PC or Mac or Linux. And there are some other stuff that you can actually program your games for, and it provides a lot of utility. So you have a lot of different options as far as developing goes, and you could go and quickly come up with a quick little game of sorts. And just to kind of show you an example of something that I had done while working on this tutorial is see here. So we'll go here, and then okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll open, and we'll say save. And we'll go and say open, just to go and show you. Sorry again for how long this is taking to load, but as you can see, there's a thing here. So I'll go ahead and drag that. Okay, so as you can see, here's something that I quickly produced, and when we go ahead and we click on play, you can see that I'm with my keys controlling the characters, and I'm going to go ahead and make a quick edit here. Go ahead and we'll call that like 3. And then we'll go ahead and use this print. So now our little beige guy, he can go and move around. And if we go and edit here, we can go and say like 10 so you can jump a little higher, and we'll click on our window, and as you can see, he jumps a little higher. And then we have his little buddy. So as you can see, there is collision that is detectable based on the rigid 2D bodies. So this is just a simple little 2D game that you can make through it. Now, obviously with what I'm showing you, it's kind of a bit beyond what the intent of the program for this tutorial is, but just to kind of look at a little bit on the insides as well. You can see that we have a lot of the same stuff that I showed you initially. And as you can see, we used our awake method to initialize our object, and we gave it a float and whatnot. And you can go and say private and other things like that. So I hope you were able to learn something from this, and that it sparked your interest in learning C# as well as learning it through the Unity game engine, and look forward to producing more content. Thank you very much.